Welcome to Midweek Moments. I'm Stephen Wright, Senior Pastor of Dahlonega Baptist Church. Where do you find yourself at the midpoint of this week? Are you behind on work? Has the week gotten away from you? Have your plans gone awry? Have you spent your time accomplishing tasks that were much different than the tasks that you wanted to do or needed to do? If you're a student, do you have stress over an upcoming test? Do you feel like you haven't prepared enough? If you're a teacher or professor, are you having a hard time getting into the groove of teaching under the new COVID-19 restrictions? Are you struggling with teaching in a mask or teaching virtually? Is the midpoint of this week a time when you're wrestling with contentment in this new world that we find ourselves in? Or maybe your situation is the exact opposite. You're having a hard time finding things to do. You can't go out of your home or extended care facility. Your world is where you live right now 24/7, and you don't know for how long it's going to be that way. You just wish that you had some things to occupy your time, some things that may cause a little anxiety in your life. We're all dealing with different circumstances at the midpoint of this week, some good, some bad, some stressful, some far from it. And yet one of the things that we have in common is that we are members of the same spiritual family, that we are children of the living God if we've trusted Christ in faith. And the reality is that as His children, we need God's help and leadership in whatever situation we find ourselves in. Whether we're trying to accomplish an abundance of tasks or whether we're looking for tasks to occupy our time, we need God to lead us in all that we do. We need His supernatural power and strength in our lives. Because with God, we can accomplish whatever we are seeking to accomplish better. Just ask Peter. He was a professional fisherman. He knew the trade. It's the way that he made his money. And one morning, Peter and his associates, the Bible tells us, had been up all night fishing, and they had caught nothing, not a single thing. They were packing up their gear, folding up their nets, and accepting the fact that they had been unsuccessful. And that's when a rabbi named Jesus commands Peter to put out his nets for a catch. Didn't this Jesus know better? Didn't he know that nighttime was the best time for fishing, and they had been up all night long and had caught nothing? Peter protests to Jesus and lets him know that this was the case. Still, though, something within Peter tells him to do it. Something within Peter leads him to comply. Because you say so, I will let down the nets, Peter says. Then the Bible tells us that Peter and his companions catch such a large amount of fish that their nets begin to break. And Peter is astonished. How did Jesus do this? Who is this man named Jesus? He is humbled, there could be no doubt, as he exclaims, "Go away from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." Peter learns a lot about Jesus that day, for sure. He learns that Jesus isn't just an ordinary man, an ordinary rabbi. He learns that he is supernatural instead. He learns that Jesus is worthy to be followed and that with Jesus leading him, his task could be accomplished in a much greater fashion. Perhaps we would do well to pause and recognize the supernatural nature of the one who leads us, the one to whom we belong. Perhaps we would do well to pause and simply ask for God's assistance in helping us through this week. Whether it's accomplishing large amounts of tasks or just finding some tasks to accomplish. With Jesus leading us, whatever we're attempting to do, we will do better. That is for sure. Thanks for joining me for these midweek moments. May the Spirit of Christ accomplish in you this week exceedingly abundantly more than you would ask for or ever imagine. God bless you.